guys, welcome back to Geeking Out, and brought Ronnie back on today because we're going to talk about one of our favorite games, a game we've been playing for how many years?
About 17 years.
About 17 years, yeah. It's been a long time, lots of good times with it, and this is Magic the Gathering. If you've been in a gaming store, you've seen it. This game has gone international, it's everywhere. It was started in the early 90s, like 91, 92.
93.
93, thank you. By a mathematician of all people. His name's Richard Garfield. And he wanted to create a game where it was just a simple, pull it out of your pocket, sit and play. And it is really well crafted. And after so many years of being reinvented and, you know, new blood being put into it, it's gotten so vast. I mean, how many expansions have there been for this game? How many different sets of cards? And I'm not even sure.
It's somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 sets or so. They've been upwards of that. It's been going for 20 years now, since 93. So last year was the 20th anniversary of Magic. They usually put out 3 to 4 sets a year, and sometimes over the years they've done a little bit less than that, but 4 has been about the most. So it's over 50 sets, and usually 150 to 250 new cards in each set.
Oh yeah, it's pretty vast. And the cool thing is that you take cards from the original sets and you take cards from the newest sets, and you can put them together, and the decks still work. And that's the coolest thing about this, is that the collection is never obsolete. Unless you're a tournament player, then it does become obsolete every year, unfortunately. But that's just part of how you play the game. I mean, some people like to keep up. Some people just like to play like we do and just use the whole set and use the whole collection. Yeah. But I mean, the way the game works, it's real simple. It's a collectible card game. If you've ever seen these before, you typically just buy packs of cards and build a deck out of those cards, depending on what mechanics you want to use in the game. And Magic is one of the more unique ones because it uses 5 different elements or 5 different resources to play off of. And that's just different colors: white, red, blue, green, and black. And depending on how you build the deck, it's going to act differently. So like different colors, like different color effects would be green for big creatures and basically nature. Black would be death, stealing life from your opponent, killing creatures, that sort of thing. Red is all about destruction, lots of damage, really quick and fast. White is a lot of like life gaining, small creatures, flyers. And where would you put blue? How would you classify the blue?
Blue could be classified as meta magic. It involves the elements. Red involves the elements of fire and earth and lightning, and blue involves the elements of air and water. But most of its magic is around meta magic, things that affect the gameplay in weird instances. Counterspelling spells, which means canceling them out before they can even get started working. Spells that return permanents, wipe them from the battlefield in some way, send things back, and time magic is kind of implemented in blue magic a little, and its creatures has the most flyers of any of the colors, although overall its creatures are the very weakest to counterbalance its spells affecting the battlefield in so many different ways.
Right. Now, out of the 5 colors, what would be your preference?
I generally prefer fairly equally white and green, actually, although I love the elements of using all the colors and I enjoy mixing them in various fashions. But I am generally a guy who my 2 preferences in playing, if I were to talk about D&D or Pathfinder, my 2 favorite classes would be Sorcerer, a free-flowing mage who isn't bound by having to pick specific spells each day, and Paladin, your lawful good holy warrior, which encompasses the white color. And then green just has a lot of elements that work well. I like the basic creature concepts of it, but green still has an interesting branch out of ways to deal with other problems and to accelerate mana growth, which is one of my favorite tactics.
For me, I have to say white and then blue. White being because I love the angel creatures that they've put into this game. Lots of soldiers, big armies of small creatures and just flood your enemy. That's always been fun for me. And then the big flyers, the big angels. That's what this deck is. It's all angels, and I just love playing those. And then blue, because there's just so much you can do with it. It's such a malleable set. You could say, I'm going to stall my opponent. I'm going to get rid of all their cards in their library, their draw pile. I could completely lock them down, not let them do anything, that sort of stuff. And it's a lot of fun. It really is.
Blue is one of the very funnest to play, but one of the worst to play against. As just about any experienced Magic player. Anybody who started around the time that we did in the late 90s, from about the start of Magic through about 98 or 99, two words that will just make that player cry probably are stasis deck.
Can't untap anything. Oh man. Or if you're sitting across the table from a blue player and he has 2 islands untapped, don't try to play anything. That's that sort of thing.
That dates us too, because nowadays it's 3, but back in the old days it was 2 islands and deny everything.
Yeah, I try to play this. No, you don't. So I mean, out of this game, we've had a huge collection of cards, and we've changed, different play styles over time, built hundreds of decks probably between us, and I mean, it's just one of those things that we keep coming back to. I mean, we'll stop playing for like a year or year and a half or something, and then, oh wow, a new set came out or something, and we just dive right back in like we just did. The new set, what was it called?
Khans of Tarkir.
Yeah, and it's one of the more interesting sets that I've seen, because there's been a couple of sets or a couple of blocks of sets where they do dual color deck themes, so like red, white, blue, green, that sort of thing. But now they're doing tricolor, 3-color decks, and there's 5 of them, and it's really, really unique on how those work. It's very cool, and we're gonna do some gameplay footage here for you in a bit, and we want to show you the new set as a whole, because it's pretty cool. But I mean, overall, what would be your most favorite thing about Magic?
My favorite thing about Magic is how many different decks you can put together, and it's just the most fun I have is almost building decks and just planning out the strategy of how the different elements work together. There are a lot of great cards in Magic and cards that are really good, but there are some cards that in normal circumstances are very bad, but you put them in a certain kind of deck that makes use of that element and they become good. Like, one of my favorite examples of this is when I started about the time 5th edition came out, and the first expansion that came out after I started playing Magic was Weatherlight, which decided to be much more than any other set before it did, and then since they've gone back into it, but it made use of your graveyard. The cards that you've lost, the creatures that have died, things that have gone away, it lets you use that as a resource in various ways. And one of its cards is called Buried Alive, where you search your library for 3 creature cards of your choice and throw them away. Put them in your graveyard. Get rid of them. So these cards that normally would have been useful to you, you're getting rid of before even a chance to use them. That's bad, normally. But you can build a deck around getting those cards back out of the graveyard more easily, and then you have them available because they aren't lost somewhere in your deck there. They're right there in the graveyard waiting for your spell to bring them out. And that's what's most fun about Magic, is putting spells together in ways that make a deck a well-oiled machine, and not just a collection of cards and creatures that you're playing and attacking with.
Mm-hmm. Typically when I play a very basic concept of a deck, but I usually play lots of... I love big creatures. That's always been my thing. That's why I keep gravitating towards the angels. I mean, they're flying, so they're hard to block. They're 5/5 and above usually, so they're huge. They deal lots of damage, and usually, especially with the newer sets over the last few years, angels have become something incredibly hard to combat because of all the extra abilities that they have. Like, I have one where you play it, and oh, by the way, you're not allowed to play any more spells of the color I choose when I play it. So you're playing a monocolor red deck. Oh, by the way, you can't play red spells anymore. I might as well have just won. I mean, it is kind of cheap. It is kind of cheesy. I know that the decks, that the cards have gotten way more powerful. I mean, I was just saying this the other day. It seems like now, where it used to be 3-card combo wins the game, now it's a single card. You know, it's the big power cards versus a big power combo. You know, I think a part of that I don't like, but at the other instance, it's very interesting to see the new mechanics that they've been bringing into the game, and it just keeps it fresh. That's the cool part about it, is no matter when we get back into it, there's still something to like about it. It's not like the game kind of outgrows itself, and it's brilliantly designed in that manner. I mean, I don't want to even think about how much you and I have spent.
In some ways, the designers of Magic are almost too smart, and they outsmart themselves quite often.
They can,
and it's quite evidently shown. There are various tastes as various people go through taking charge and designing sets. They have various ideas of what they want to do, and over time, concepts change. You have a classic creature like the Sarah Angel that was first released in way back in the very first edition of Magic, and it was a 4/4 flyer for 5 mana that also had the ability they now call Vigilance, where it can attack and defend without any difficulties. And after 4 editions of the main set, they decided it was too powerful and removed it from the 5th edition. But then in recent years, they've decided that they like creatures like that being uncommon, so they brought the Sarah Angel back in, and now it's one that you can get your hands on pretty easily again.
And instead of being rare, it moved to an uncommon, so the rares become more and more powerful.
Yeah, and but the thing is that as these sets change and these ideas change, they produce cards, and sometimes they have no idea what even they're unleashing into the world. They release this card and they think it's okay, but then the card becomes restricted or banned because everybody's using it because they figured out how to make it overpowering.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if they knew ahead of time that it was going to be this much of a problematical card, they wouldn't even, design it, because a lot of Magic, the way they design it and the way they push out these sets, is all revolved in their minds around the tournament set and the main competitions there that they can promote. So you could tell they don't want to release these cards. They're going to become restricted or banned just because they realize later that they made it perhaps too powerful.
But overall, I mean, what an amazing game, Magic the Gathering. And the cool thing is, it's not terribly expensive to start. Right now, they're putting together what they call the Builder's Kit, Deck Builder's Kit. And it's like $25-$30. And you get this mass amount of cards to start. 4 booster packs, a bunch of semi-random cards, and land to build decks. And it's a great way to start. I mean, when we started playing, it was back in 4th, 5th edition, and you had to buy 60-card starter boxes and then buy booster packs to go with them and hope you got enough land so you could actually build your decks instead of land kind of being just given to you.
The only place they had land was in 4th and 5th edition. Early on, they had basic land in boosters kind of randomly, sometimes in the place of rares, and they didn't let you know what your rare cards were, so you could get shafted in early Arabians Nights and Antiquities. But,
yeah, that's right.
But by 4th and 5th edition, they'd gotten that all out, and there was a set amount of rares you got in each pack, but you only got land from those starter decks. Mm-hmm. And so they have 60 cards and about 20 land in them, 4 to 5 of each of the 5 different basic lands.
And if I remember correctly, it was about $15-$16 for something like that. It was just a single box.
I think it was about 10 to 12, I think, at the time.
It was like a box like that. That's pretty much what you got.
Box like this, 60 cards in it, and some of them are land. So in order to get enough land to play a monocolor deck, you had to buy at least 4 of these. In order to buy a deck that was dual color, you had to buy at least 2 and preferably 3.
Yeah. And
so your early decks were very clumsily built tricolor if you didn't have somebody guiding you through, giving you a whole bunch of lands. But now you can buy things like fat packs like this, come with a pack of lands in them that's almost 10 of each land. Plus, you usually get 1 land in every booster pack you haven't pick up, a random land assorted.
Yeah.
And again, the Deck Builder's Kit has pretty much all the land you need for about 2 or 3 different decks. So you
40 to 60 cards, depending on how big you want to build it. 40 being the standard, 40 being the minimum, 60 being pretty much the standard size.
There are several other ways to get started on Magic. They have a bunch of intro packs that you can buy for each set, especially for the standard editions. M15 being the recent one, you can buy one of these, and it's a good $2 color deck straight out of the box that lets you play a solid deck that has pretty solid concepts in it. That
Yeah, a lot of fun
give
too.
good
Usually,
teaching
I mean, it's so well oiled. Let's say the latest Bane set M15. I got a white black deck that works off your life total. You gain life, you lose life back and forth. You lose life to cast spells. You gain life constantly back and forth. It was really interesting. I never really played a deck like that before, so it was really cool. And then that was just straight out of the box, $15.
Yeah,
it was
an
really
intro
nice.
pack.
Yeah.
And then if we want to go something slightly more advanced, they're releasing subsequent amounts of dual decks, which usually involve either themes or sometimes even history of the Magic universe, because the developers have a storyline behind all of these sets and everything that's going on. And they have a couple of decks which are sometimes even more complicated, 2 or sometimes 3 colors that are very unusual together. But they usually have some of the more interesting rares in them. Each one usually has 1 foil card mythic rare, as they call their most rarest cards.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some especially interesting things, and they're designed to play against each other and be fairly reasonably well matched.
Yep.
And so you can buy intro packs, you can buy fat packs, 1 or 2 of those is all you need. The deck builder's kit is awesome, and dual decks as well. There's lots of ways to just collect cards and play if you want to do it something casually.
The biggest thing I'm going to impress upon all of you gamers out there, though, is support your local shop. If there is an independent shop that sells this stuff, not a major retailer, go to them first, because primarily that's where most of their revenue comes from, is a big popular game like Magic. So thanks, guys. We're going to go ahead and show you guys a game now, and thanks for watching. Appreciate it.